Now, we hear the term way too often, levels in boxing, but what exactly is the levels of boxing? For those of you who are in the combat game, boxing gym owners, and you're working with professionals and amateurs, I'm going to break down what the actual level system is all about, because a lot of people hear the term, there are levels in boxing, but we don't always understand who we're talking to or who it is. So I'm going to break down every single scenario with the 4 phases of boxing. And with that being said, you're going to have total clarity about what a level is and how to measure the level that you are right now by following this specific chart that we call the system of measuring. Your athletes, and when you're a trainer, see, you have to also have the ability to know where you are. Because one thing that happens with trainers, when they're working with fighters, they could be a lot more vested in what they're learning to teach and forgetting that they're also this funny thing called layers and levels to the sport. And if you don't quite understand what those levels are, you don't know how to measure if you've hit a plateau. So let's get directly into it. We're going to really break down what the levels of boxing are so that you won't get Peter rolled unexpectedly and you won't put your fighter in a match that they have no chance in winning. Because sometimes you avoid matches that you can win, but you're not sure. And that's where the measurement chart really comes into play. Now, let me take it back 20 years when we were in a gym and I had people who were in my upline like George Benton, Coach Kenny Adams, and Coach Anthony Bradley. When we were getting prepared for one of my first experiences at the world level, I jumped directly into the middle of a training camp. And we had guys like Larry Donald, who was former world champion, and he fought Riddick Bowe. And you had guys who came in the gym to spar from all around the country, because whenever you're in training camps at the higher levels of boxing, people are going to come from all over. And those of you who are in the professional rankings of boxing, you know that. But one thing that is so apparent is that you have no idea how good your guys are going to perform, or if they are going to totally fold when they are up against this upper echelon of competition that you have not been measured about, or you have not been measured with. So when you're thinking about this, these guys are walking through the door. There was a kid, he was 6'5", one was 6'3", and the other one was built like a bowling ball chiseled out of stone. I know that the first thing that went through my head, because I know where I was ranked in the game. I was young, I was snotty-nosed, and I thought I was doing my thing until guys walk through who have no idea who you are. They don't care who you are. What they want to do is hand you your head. And so that gave me my first awakening. When I woke up next to that ring and I looked at my fighters, and I am under Coach Bradley, and we're learning that there are things that you have to know to grade your fighters on. And I always wondered, how did he really know when to fight someone? So when he chose the people to come into camp, he knew that he had to show his fighters something that they had not seen. So would that set you up to look bad in camp? Don't care, because it doesn't matter how you look in camp. It matters what you look like on fight night. So lo and behold, here are the intricate details of the sport of boxing that you're not aware of when you haven't reached these levels. Level 1. Here's what he looked at and shared with me was important to break down when you're looking at a fighter. First of all, Level one, you have to understand in the 4 phases of boxing that one of the things that you got to have straight out of the gate is how strong is this guy's stance, right? Now we're taking you from the amateurs all the way to the pros. How strong is this guy's stance? Is he somewhat committed to it? Because if he is, then we're going to make him pay. Now, if he's not committed to it, we're going to suck him out of that position and make him have to be in it. So that's like that thing that Bruce Lee said many years ago, that he said, whatever the fighter is, you conform to it like water. And so in level one, you have to have a base. You have to have solid fundamentals, your basics, and your basics have to be refined so that when you go to the next phase, you do not have confusion. So here's the checkbox. There's a system, and it's called the band system, right? So the first phases of your bands allow you to know and let everyone else know around you, just like the black belt system, is that you're a level one. So you take that with great pride, and level one allows you to get to a place in the ring where, it allows you to be everywhere in the gym except for in the ring, because you're refining your base, and month after month you just focus on your posture, your defense, stance, defense, punch logistics, and knowing how to move left to right. That's your focus. If you master that, you have acquired level one, with your physical training that you have to do to actually be classified as a level one graduate to the next level. So your basic focus, you have to carry that into this next level, because if you don't, this next level gets tricky, because now you're dealing with the advanced level of boxing. And what does that entail? You start doing things in the ring, or you start doing things that prepare you to get inside of the ring. You've gone through boot camp. Now it's time to put on your fatigues, army fatigues. And you're now about to be introduced to the scariest place on earth, the boxing ring. So you learn your advanced skills, your footwork, your advanced counter punch skills. Those different things that every little taste that you got in the phase one literally was just wetting your beak. Now it's going to be a little different, because this helps you get out of situations that will come in front of you. So you learn how to masterfully create angles a multitude of ways. And it's not the typical series of training. This series right here, this level, will keep you in it months, for months of entrenched in the grind, mastering the art of ring generalship, creating space, understanding distance, knowing how to turn the fight by using these skills. All right, so now you're developing skills in sets. It's not just, I know how to throw a jab. Oh, how do you stop an uppercut? Things that people ask who truly don't understand that there are levels in boxing. And typically, you're not in the know at all about what it actually entails. This is why when our guys got in the ring, you got an opportunity to see true artistry. I remember Fogel got into the ring and he was doing his movements, and see, our guys traveled around, and we got the opportunity to share camps on a multitude of time with guys like Emmanuel Stewart. So one of the things that I noticed is that Julius's lateral movement and ability to move his feet and go laterally and literally walk left to right, backs forward, throwing punches backwards and forward, just in sync. And that was like, hold it. And this is when you think you know everything, and then you see something that you haven't seen before in your life. That's why we say the word measuring chart. And the measuring chart is going to be the thing that gets you to a place where you're clear if you know what you're doing, or if you have things to work on, or if you have a fighter that continuously hits plateaus and you have to go to Instagram or YouTube and figure out something to throw at them, but it's not in a system. So you give them that and then you have to take it away because it's just another trick. And we don't want that. What we want to do is to position you to get into the ring with guys who come from all around the country to get the smoke. And you have to have the skills and sets and the understanding of the periodic table of boxing in order to give them that. Because in phase 2, you will really becoming a true boxer. That's where you become a master boxer with the techniques. So that says, I've mastered techniques. But then, lo and behold, is the next phase of boxing. And what is that? This is phase 3. Right when you think that you've already become a star in the sport of boxing, what happens is you're introduced to what this next thing is. And this is called the styles of boxing. Because the only thing you've been introduced to as of yet is skills. Now you have to learn styles of boxing. And when you get into the styles of boxing, what you're learning is how to break all the rules that you learn. Hands up high, turn your punch over, don't square your feet up. Now you're learning things like the peekaboo. Why? Because you have to learn how to create pressure to burst pipes when the opportunity arises, squared up so that you can get the full intention or the tension to the torso, which it takes 6 weeks just to break your torso down to the next compound. Once you're able to do that, now you have to go once again against the rules, and then you have to go into the shell. One arm down. Boom. And remember, they always used to tell you, keep your hands up. But in the level 3 phases of boxing, it's one arm down. And why is that? Because you have to set traps with counter punching. When good, you have to learn how to take it away in a different kind of way so that you can make adjustments and adapt. And then how do you set the trap? The other phase of this is the footwork mastery of fighting off of your back foot. So in level 3, this is unconventional styles. You're crossing your feet. You're squared up. One hand down, chin out. All of these different tactics are all a part of the sweet science, because they tell you one thing, and just like this, it's a hat trick. Now they're delivering you something totally different. But if you ever want your fighter to not plateau, you'd best understand there are more styles in boxing. And this is where you learn how to make this thing work in your favor. Now, once you go through that periodic table and learning how to set people up, set traps, make them walk into you and take naps, then position yourself to never plateau and bring them every time you come to the ring, nothing but the smoke. That's a learning process. And if you don't have it in that process and that methodology, what happens is you will start thinking just like I was. I was on my own ego. And then I realized I don't know shit about boxing when you compare it to the people who actually know. So it works when you have gods of boxing around you. 4 of the 5 heads on the Mount Olympus of boxing is where I got my education, and what made me realize when I had those opportunities to learn those diamonds and acquire them, that I need to take Heath and I have to document, and I have to take what I need to learn and I need to produce it in a way that when I show it to my downliners, that they'll be so comfortable learning how to build a fighter from the ground up. You don't need a super talented fighter when you have the process of boxing down. The blueprint is directly in front of you. Now you just follow the yellow brick road. You don't allow your fighter to plateau. And you know when you can take a fight because of the measuring chart. The measuring chart. The bands of boxing. 4 bands that you have to earn as you go through these progressions. And those bands are earned by literally earning them through a process of testing and practicals. And you have to have it here cognitively. How do you defend against a southpaw that's throwing punches and combinations when you're against the rope? What's the answer? And you have to be conscious of giving me that answer within 3 seconds. Because if you can't immediately spit it out, the minute my question comes out, you have to be conscious of saying the words immediately. Because that's how it has to react in a real ring. If it's happening, you got to know how to, boom. I watched the fighter lose over the course of the past couple of weeks. Basically because he didn't know how to implement fighting when they were tired. So they lost the fight. So that's because those tests aren't being done inside of camp. You're assuming and hoping and thinking, but there's no assurity. When those fighters came to our camp, one thing that was in place is the assurance that we knew what to do and we knew how to do it. One of our guys, Poodle Paul, undefeated fighter, handled 3 different guys who were at the top level. One was a world champion, so I can't say their name, and put hands on them because he understood what to do in the boxing ring. Because like a periodic table, he had a checklist in the band system. That band system, that progressive development made him confident that he could do whatever that dude brought, he could do something with it. So now that leads us to phase 4. This is when you develop all of those skills and all of those tactics and you made it your own. This is what we call your craft in boxing. It's yours. You've earned the right to say you're a pugilist fighter. That's why it's very important that you know who you are and don't just assume who you could be and hope that I could be the world champion and hope that I can be a world-class trainer. You can know it because that's the reason why there were early moments of success taken out of my hands, learning early, because the actual process I was avoiding and I was trying not to use was the actual only answer in the process of boxing. And that's why you see the Mayweather family having the level of success they have. That's why the Crawfords are having that kind of success, because those are generational fighters. Bo Mac, the guys is generational. He came in under another guy, and after he fought, and all of those are layers. Decades after decades after decades. That's 3 decades, 3 generations in. We're 5 generations in, and see, you have to realize how important that is. And I don't want to see you guys coaching and hoping because you're putting so much energy into it that, oh, I got it. I got it. No, you don't, because this guy here has a lineage, and they understand when you're coming in there and you're fighting off your back foot too much, or you're leaning too hard on your front foot. All these little things that are apparent to people who've been textbooked and they follow a process. So the system in which you progress is important. And there are 3 things that you truly need to pay attention to when you're building a fight brand. Because we build fight brands based on wins. Number 1, because that's what people pay attention to. And you know what else? People pay attention to people who have that special thing. So we are attention brokers, period. We know how to make sure that our fighters are getting attention. We were getting attention for fighters who hadn't even gotten into the ring at the turn of the social media era. putting the lights on them, getting the millions of eyes. And that's what's important to promotional companies and sponsors. A lot of you guys are looking for sponsorship. Well, you gotta have attention on you in order for someone to say, hey, we gotta roll with them. Look at that number, those numbers. You get what I'm saying? So we gotta get you guys attention. And the attention is what's going to get you over that next line. Now, when you talk about the last thing, we got to optimize this thing so that it multiplies the amount of people that really fall in love with you. You attract them. We got to make sure that you are an attraction. You draw people to you. That's why they understand that you are a fight brand. You're just not a typical person. So all of this morphs into having that process, having that system, understanding the levels of boxing. And what we're going to do is give you guys the actual grading system that you can use, and so you can understand the 4 phases of boxing and not being a soundbite, because I know a lot of you coaches have heard the buzzword and starting to use it, but you don't know what goes behind it. The 30 books that have been written based on it that you need to get in your head so your fighters don't plateau, so that you know when and when not to take fights, and so that you understand how to get your fighter in the top 10, top 5, top 1, and then reign. I know this because I've been in over 40 of those things when it comes down to having straps and acquiring field and packed arenas. I've broken records for the ability to promote fighters. I've broken all kinds of things, including my mind, trying to have something that I could pass down as a legacy piece that you can use for your legacy piece, so it's buttoned up. So if you want your legacy buttoned up and you want to reach that highest level and you want to understand what it takes so you don't mess this thing up, you can keep your fighter going up the trail, then the grading system is the most important part. The 4 phases of boxing, how you go up from one level to the next, to the next. And if you don't have that progression, what you're doing is you're literally guessing. Let's not guess. All I want you guys to do is understand that we want to give you the opportunity to not mess that up, because those fighters depend on you, and you should depend on your learning to get them through, so there's no confusion. If you don't want to be confused about how to put your fighter in the best position, if you don't want to ever get to a place where you plateau, if you want to guarantee your success in boxing, literally type school. That's all you got to do. And it's our gift to you, because we have to make sure that boxing is in a good place, because there's no better time to be in the boxing game than now.
Aspiring trainers, are you ready to embark on a journey that could transform your passion for boxing into a professional powerhouse? Imagine stepping into a world where your love for the sport isn't just a hobby but a thriving career. Ready to make that leap? Welcome to the School of Boxing, TSOB, where we mold trainers into champions. Let's dive into some of our most inspiring success stories, starting with B-Boss. B-Boss came to us with a simple dream. He just wanted to fight. He had the raw talent, but lacked the direction and training to channel it effectively. Fast forward a few years, and B-Boss isn't just a boxer. He's the most noticed trainer in Thailand with an impressive 8-1 pro fight record. His journey from a novice to a pro trainer is nothing short of remarkable. This is what happens when you join TSOB and start your journey to becoming a top-tier boxing trainer. Start grooming champions in the training business. Type school. Don't miss this opportunity to transform your passion into a thriving career. Catch you in the ring. Your journey to becoming a professional boxing trainer starts now. Let's make history together.
Because all eyes on it, they 4,000x'd times over the amount of people that are paying attention. Now, this is the time for you to really have this thing down. If you really want to have this thing buttoned up and down, let us help you and make sure that you get this beautiful package that we got to give to you, so that you can use. And the only thing I want from you is that you fucking use it and never reach that plateau, and understand the phases of boxing. When you're building your fight brand. As the trainer, the fighter, the promoter, it doesn't matter. This works, especially if you're a matchmaker. So, type school.
TSOB has allowed me to articulate the fundamentals in a myriad of ways that I didn't have before. That's the biggest thing, man. I'm about the fundamentals, and it's been noticed by managers, people that come in, clients, even the other trainers, man. My manager has said on several occasions, I'm the best trainer you got. And I'm only there part-time. For the first time, probably about a month ago, man, I really said, man, I could do this. I could actually own my own business, whatever niche that may be. I could own my own business as long as it's got something to do with coaching boxing, with teaching boxing, fitness, and boxing, and doing it in a unique way.
What do you want me to do? Keep it all to myself? We work hard. And I know the training is no joke. I done that game. And when you fight, that is an entirely different animal. Make sure you cash in with your fighting by simply typing school and taking this guide, using it, measuring where you are, and laugh your way all the way to the bank by securing your future with a fight brand. If you want to secure your future with a fight brand, type school. And stay tuned for tomorrow when we talk about, once you get to that place, how that you can utilize the hybrid fighter system of boxing to never get knocked off your trail again. That's all I got. Value. Remember, when you take your stuff and prepare for the future comes to you in abundance. If you want the future to come to you in abundance, type school right now. Go directly to your inbox. Look directly in that folder. Open up that code. And it's yours. That's all I got to say. Type school. Special shouts out to my brothers in the School of Boxing and everybody who's in the fight game right now, ready to take your games to the next level. That's what we do over here at Master Boxing. We don't just participate in boxing. We make fight stars and build fight brands. Type school. Peace.
Ever dreamed of shaping the future of boxing? Starting your own Pro-Am boxing program is easier than ever. Your ticket to the big leagues. Imagine hosting epic events, building a community, and creating a boxing mecca in your hometown. Discover and mold the next generation of champions. This is about leaving a legacy and changing lives. Whether you're a former fighter, a fan, or an entrepreneur, this is your chance to step into the ring of opportunity. Don't let this moment slip away. Make your mark on the boxing world and turn your town into a powerhouse of pugilistic talent. Bells ringing. Are you ready?